In It Together with Lori Lynn Green talk show is a positive way to start your day. Ready for some encouragement?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's let the healing begin.
Come be inspired, hear moving stories, even laugh out loud.
Can't make heads or tail of what I'm saying.
It's just incomprehensible.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You'll hear real people doing real things to make a real impact.
You are heroes every day.
Hear honest, compassionate, engaging issues you care about.
You see people come together to do good in our community, and the more we come together, the more good we can do.
Listen in and get started on redesigning your life and hear what's positive in Greater Manchester. Here's your happy host, Lori Lynn Green.
Good morning, friends in Greater Manchester. Welcome to In It Together. We are so glad that you've tuned in. If you'd like to find us on the web, you can go to inittogether.net. Listen live, watch our previous shows, even link to our Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you like and follow us, you'll see that we are bringing out the best in people to influence positive change in this community and beyond. Today is It's a Wonderful Life with coach, speaker, and executive director back from his amazing trip with John Maxwell, Marc Major. Good morning, Marc.
He's back.
He's back. And what are we talking about today?
Challenging your people to be their best.
All right. So we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.
Marc Major knows that great coaches need constant training to be effective. As a certified coach, teacher, and speaker with the John Maxwell team, Marc can help you identify and activate your personal and professional goals. If you seek to do more and be more, look up Marc on the web at johnmaxwellgroup.com/MARC Major or call 603-674-6818. Marc Major, growing leaders and adding value.
Morgan Self-Storage has been serving Manchester and Salem, New Hampshire for over 15 years. Facilities are heated with security and video surveillance in well-lit hallways, easy access loading, and high-capacity elevators. With many-sized units, portable trailers, and boxes for moving, we can meet your residential or business storage needs. 400 Bedford Street in Manchester or 8 Willow Street in Salem. Visit morganstorage.com or call us at 603-623-2000. Morgan Self-Storage, making self-storage secure, safe, and easy.
Hi, this is Lori Lynn Green, Advancement Strategist and Coach Trainer at alphaadvancementstrategies.com. Join me Mondays at 9 a.m. where I'll talk about ways to help keep you moving forward in life. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green. Welcome back to In It Together, kicking off It's a Wonderful Life with Marc Major. Good morning, Marc.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulous, and welcome back.
Thank you. Had an amazing week with Mr. Maxwell and the rest of my mentors, and in fact, get to spend a good amount of time with my coaching mentor and my speaking mentor.
After a while, the mentors actually become friends too, don't they?
They are good friends, and you know, when I come in, we get to chat about things and talk about what's going on, and they just help me tremendously. Being part of this team is one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I'll tell you what, I've always been into personal growth. As I've told you before, my career's always been in sales and management and you know, people related stuff. But since I've been on this John Maxwell team, it's like my growth is on like hyperdrive. It's just like taking off like the space shuttle. It's amazing.
Yeah, and for some people, they look at it and it's kind of like, oh, it's a drag. I don't want to read a book. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And it's just like, to me, especially those in the area of faith where it's like, oh, I don't want to read my Bible. I don't want to pray. I don't want to, you know, we start off. It's just really a perspective shift that needs to happen about it. It's like,
yeah,
it's really the thing that's going to help us, and you need to realize that that's available for us to grow and to be better.
Well, you know, just as our bodies and brains need food to sustain themselves and to do well. We need to read and get into positive stuff and so forth to grow as people. And the things we want in life won't come to us unless we become attractional people.
Right.
So that's it's always great to get there a couple times a year and just it really recharges my batteries for sure.
Well, we only attract who we become, and this is something you and I have talked about many times. That we have to, we can only be at the level of success of what we think and who we become in order to steward that thing that we have.
Well, one of my heroes besides John Maxwell, and I've read and listened to pretty much everything Jim Rohn's ever put out, and his big thing has always been, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better.
And this is the thing. I think for a lot of people, when things are getting hard, when they're having a hard time, their assumption is, oh, well, this probably isn't for me. I'll do something different.
Right.
But if they would just stick it out and allow themselves to grow in it, then their capacity to handle things grows as well.
Yeah. When God plants a vision in your mind and you're not, I mean, it's there because you're equipped to do it and He is equipping you to do it.
Right.
And sometimes when we're kind of in that lull stage where, things aren't quite happening as quickly as we would like. And trust me, I'm one of those people that, wants everything to happen, yesterday, last week, let's get it done. That's when God's like, chill out, take a pill. I'm preparing you for that. And you're not going to do well at it until I prepare you for that. And when I think you're ready, you can have those things.
And it's easier when we don't resist. So if you think about no resistance, it's easier.
Right.
Let's kind of just flip this over a little bit. Anybody who's had any level of success in their life or has had children or people they've mentored, they realize they don't come out knowing everything.
Exactly.
And so there's this learning and growth process that has to take place. But just because something gets hard, it doesn't mean you say, well, you don't ever have to do that. It's like, no, let's show you the right way.
Right.
Because I've been there, I can show you the way. And this is what the books are. This is what the mentors are. This is what
and that's what
coaching
personal coaching is.
Yes.
I had a phone call coaching session yesterday with someone I mentor who lives down in Florida. And, when we were done after 40 minutes, he was like, oh, my God, this brought so much clarity to what I'm trying to do. But it's just having that other voice and that other opinion, somebody who's been the way that you want to go. And that's why coaching is so valuable.
Well, and the other thing is it's a very natural thing. I believe coaching is a very natural thing. When we have overcome something or we have reached a certain level of success in an area, the automatic response to that is to reach down and help somebody else get there.
Right.
And so it's not rocket science. We all do it. We all do it.
Exactly. And the more that I help teach people, the more I get. When I go to these conferences, when I'm reading books, when I'm listening to things, it doesn't just stay stuck in my head. It flows out. They always talk about be a river, not a reservoir.
Well, and this is how we really know who really does know. It's not someone who talks about it, but someone who lives it.
Somebody who walks the walk.
Yes.
So, and we haven't even touched on our subject today, but it's all good stuff. Yeah, challenging your people to be their best. And what happens a lot of times is people that are in management roles, they want to be liked. Well, that's
probably too much.
Yeah, that's not leadership. And yes, you want to get along and you want to have respect. If your leadership style is to try to make everybody happy, that's not leadership. And guess what? You can never make everyone happy. And if you try, you're setting yourself up for disaster.
Right.
And you're going to wear yourself out trying to do that, because no matter how good of a leader you are, and even the great leaders we've seen in the world have faced resistance from people that disagree. I mean, take just our government, for example. It's pretty much 50-50. People either love what's going on or they hate what's going on, and there's not too much middle ground anymore.
That's
and
right.
so a good leader has to look beyond that and look in their heart of hearts and do what they feel is best for everybody concerned,
Right.
and that's where they have to go.
Yes. So now that with that in mind, everybody concerned, we have internet radio internet radio listeners and live streamers there. We want to welcome all of you this morning.
Yes.
We appreciate you being there. We're saying all hello. This morning's big hello apparently goes to Lynn Nato.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, Lynn. Everybody's wanting to say good morning to you. Good morning, Mark,
Good
from
morning.
the amazing Dave Superman Green.
Mr. Green.
Morning, Andrew, Lonnie, Kim. We're happy to have you all here this morning, and feel free to chime in this conversation. We're learning how to make room, not just for what God wants to say, but for if something we say causes you to think about something or stimulates something into you. It could be the Holy Spirit saying, "Hey, you know what? That relates. Share that." This is like class
Right.
participation, and this could help everybody in the
Or
conversation.
call in. We used to have the phone number right in front of my face, but I don't anymore, so I don't know it off the top. I know it's 335 something.
Well, the phone number, if you are listening, you can call it 603-384-3535.
I knew there was some 3 5s in there.
Yeah. So speaking of, we're talking about challenging people to be their best this morning. So those of you listening and those of you who are watching live streaming, think about what you have maybe had a level of success in your life. And it can be something simple. It doesn't always have to be, I created this big business or an invention.
Right.
It could be, hey, I learned to put one foot in front of the other without tripping. Riding
And
a
chewing
bike.
gum, right, yeah.
Anything you've learned. You're a good cook, maybe. Maybe you're good with people. Maybe you're handy in fixing things. I am pretty sure that you've had a level of success at that, then you've helped somebody else with that.
Right.
Somewhere along the line. And so
I honestly, I think one of the greatest leadership roles in the world are moms.
yeah.
They have to like juggle 80 balls every day, keeping, doing the cooking, doing the cleaning, taking care of the kids, making sure everybody's happy. And a lot of women work these days, so they're juggling all those things, and I just think that's amazing leadership. So it doesn't have to, be like you said, Lori, a big tremendous effort and 80 moving parts. It could be anything. Or if you're a leader in your church, or if you belong to a civic organization that you lead, because all of those organizations all do great work. The Lions Club and I know I'm going to leave people out, but all the animal clubs out there. You know who you are. You all do great work out there, and
Yes.
No,
So, as you're talking about challenging people to be their best, not everyone is a right fit for you. If you are leading somebody, you are a coach in a sense. And when you think about it, as we talk about businesses and hiring the right people, the first step is always making sure that the person that you hire, the people that you put in roles, are in the right roles.
and that they understand the roles.
Yeah.
And the big part of that is having the upfront conversation, setting expectations up front, because unless you do that, and don't be afraid to do that, let people know what's expected. And then, but talk to them, ask them, is this the role that you envisioned, and is it a fit for you? Because if it's not, then maybe there's a better fit for you. But you have to have that conversation to make sure everybody's on the same page. And you have to let people know it's not about me. It's not all about you. It's about what's best for the organization, and that's what we're trying to do. So, with that conversation in mind, that's what keeps the organization running smoothly.
So as you're talking about, this is so vital, understanding, making clear what the roles are, but also as you're knowing how to really interview. I think a lot of bosses don't really know how to interview at the start. We talk about trying to challenge people to be their best, but you can't put a fish up a tree. You have to put them in the water. And so I'm thinking here, as I connect with people that I work with, you included, Mark, it's always about, is this person flexible? Does this person have enough skills and the right attitude with a willingness to learn, and can they really learn what you're trying to show them? Or are they cocky know-it-alls who think they know more than you
Mm-hmm.
in the role that you're trying to get them to be in. And
Right.
to me, that is probably more important than the skills is their willingness to come along.
Right. The skills can be learned.
Yes.
It's
Well,
it's-
not always.
Well,
Some people aren't.
depending. I
just-
mean,
yeah.
I'll never be a ballerina, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, you said it, Mark. I wasn't going to say it.
Well, yeah. Finding a pink tutu that fits is just too tough. Anyway.
Okay, I think we moved a little too far in the
Yeah.
wrong direction.
Anyway. But no, it's vital to ask the right. I mean, look at just the fact. When we got together, going on goodness, almost 2 years
We
ago.
met
now.
like 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We met like 3 different times first to get to know you.
Right.
And I'll tell you one thing I learned with people, and I'm sure you notice the same thing, is people have quirks. People have things about, and you're just like, you're not looking at those. You're trying to find the gold. You're
Right.
looking for the nuggets. You're looking for the best in them.
And that's what we talk about here, bringing out the best in people.
Absolutely.
And that's a key too, as far as when you say challenge your people to be their best. You look for their best assets, because let's face it, we all have things in our lives that we wish we did better or whatever. But you have to look at, are there positive traits, the traits we need to fill this
Right.
position, and then you have to look at, are the negative things so negative that they overwhelm the good stuff? Because I mean, you could have somebody that's got great assets but a bad attitude, and you don't want them on your
Yeah,
team.
see, it doesn't really matter how talented someone is if you can't work with them.
Right.
It really doesn't matter. And so this is the area, if you're listening, like if you've had a hard time, you tend to go into places and you know the answer and nobody listens to you. It's not because you don't know the answer. It's because of how you present it.
Right.
And so we have a comment here. We have some coaches. Apparently, we have some coaches in the live stream audience. One of them says to never be a ballerina. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So that is noted.
It's not even on my bucket list. But yeah. So, you want to give people your best. The best way to lead people is to take the first step. If you want the best from them, you have to offer them the best of you, because it's reciprocal. It's a two-way street. And by the way, if you're doing that, I really feel, unless the person you're trying to work with is completely off the rails, they're going to feel that from you, and they're going to want to reciprocate.
Right.
And if they don't, well, that now they don't belong.
Well, here's the other thing. Rarely do we want to ask someone to do something we haven't already done,
Right.
or we hire them because we don't know and we have to trust them.
Right.
As long as they understand what your vision is. And this is something working with, like I have new people here. I have a new sales guy. I have a new videographer here. There's different people, and a guy that works on my computers and things like that. Trying to give them, we're building like new
Right.
computers for this, and instead of having 2, we're going to have 1, and he's got to understand how it all connects and operates. And I told him one little thing yesterday that he didn't know that made him go, the way that I was thinking about it won't work.
Right.
And so it's very important to communicate the vital aspects of what you're trying to accomplish,
Right.
to make sure they understand the vision before they begin to draw out their plan and try to go to work on it, and then
Right.
find out later that there's something in the spoke.
And you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and
Right.
everybody, So like I said, if you make expectations up front, and here's the important part with that, knowing that what is expected of them, but also letting them know that and in return for that, you can expect the best from me in return, and I have your back, and it's a two-way street.
It is.
It's synergy, and that's the only way that it's really going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they need. That's what they need to do.
I got to be honest, like just talking about how the process of how this works is, I've had a lot of people want to come on here, as far as the team, and wanted to be on and stuff, and there was an experience I had about a year and a half ago. Somebody contacted me, I want to come on the show, and I said, well, usually before I do that, I meet people. They get to know. It depends. It depends who
Right.
they are. But like when they're talking about a certain topic, it's like, well, actually, I don't know you first. You know, I
Right.
would need to get to know you a little bit. And they came over and we talked, and the whole time they were irritated. And I said, is there something wrong? Well, aren't we going on the radio? I said, actually, I think I told you that, no, not today. The show's already gone on, and what we're
Right.
doing is I'm getting to know you to see how our dynamic and our conversation can be,
Right.
because it isn't about us. It's about how we're talking so that other people can listen and enjoy it. Well, she goes, well, you're just trying to control the conversation. And I'm like, all right, well, it was really nice to meet you. She's like, it was just kind of like, she didn't understand the vision of the show.
Right.
She didn't understand who the audience was, and she just
Right.
wanted to come in and hammer, and it was very political and stuff. And I'm just like, it's not a good fit for me.
Right.
I was so sweet to her too. She was negative, and I kept saying, honestly, I'm just trying to get to know you. Why don't you tell me how you got involved in that and whatever? And she's like, well, I don't want to tell you that. I want to tell you what I want to tell you. And I was just kind of like, well, then I guess our conversation's over. I'm really sorry you feel that way.
Yeah. You would think it was her show, right?
Yeah, well, and it's kind of, well, and honestly, it really wasn't about me thinking, well, it's my show.
Right.
That didn't cross my mind. What crossed my mind was even though this person was temperamental and whatnot, I still, even though they had a moment, wanted to see the best in them.
Right.
And say, can we get past this annoyance that you have here
Right.
so that I can try to find out how we can present you best on the show, but
Right.
you're not letting me get there. So,
Yeah. Well, it's important too, because if you think about what we're trying to do with this show is positive stuff on every day, and presenting people in their best light, and bringing out, it's what we say, bringing out the best in people. So it's a brand that we're creating, and as the person who primarily has put this together, you have to protect that brand, and can't just let anybody come on the air. It's
I guess it is. I guess you could call it a brand creating, but I mean, if trying to be a blessing in the community is a
Right.
brand, I guess you could call it that. But really, my focus is on loving people. Right,
Right.
we're trying to add value to people, to build them up, to encourage them, and love them, and
right.
and obviously, it's kind of like inviting somebody into my house. Would I let some rude person come in and start talking to my family and
Trashing the house.
probably not.
Right,
So,
exactly.
I mean, to me, I think about our audience as
our
an extension
family,
of
really.
our family, and I certainly wouldn't have anybody come on who would be abusive verbally or any otherwise to them.
Right.
So
Right.
anytime we find somebody's really all about them, even those people, I've given an extension of, okay, I'm willing to work, but this area, you're going to have to let me help you develop this area, because
Right.
this is important, and this is why, and this is where I share the vision and show why it doesn't fit. And I've had people, I've actually worked with people who had a real hard time at first, and then after a little while, once they
Kind of settled in.
yeah, and part of it was the dynamic of who they were as a person and how people have treated them in the past, and their expectations were kind of negative up front. And so it doesn't mean you never work with someone like that. It just means you see if you're able to help them overcome that. And I've been pretty successful helping people do that. So
Well, one of the other things that we just took on as a John Maxwell team, and in fact, I'm going to get certified to do this, is we are now working and have an active DISC program going. And if anybody's ever heard of that or taken it, it's pretty much a personality assessment. DISC, stands for the different temperaments. And when you get to know those tests are really cool, because once you get to know people and what makes certain personality types tick and so forth, you can kind of, it helps you to work with them.
and this is key, what Mark is saying. Obviously, I have a extensive background in personalities and peoples and stuff like that for many years. I've helped people with assessments and knowing, but one of the things that I find that people got to understand is there are a lot of people who take those assessments and then they put people in a box and they limit
Right.
them to it. And I just say, don't do that. You know, these assessments really are
Right.
to tell you where you are starting from.
Right.
But there's always a goal. We actually eventually people say your personality is your personality. I don't totally
No.
agree. I believe that some people have false personalities based on life experiences and environment and things like that. That the true one can come out once a person knows who they are, and then they develop and things can change.
Well, and I can attest to that personally because I took a DISC assessment maybe 4 years ago because we were doing it at our church as people were looking to get on the leadership team at church. And so I just recently retook it for, what we're doing with the John Maxwell team. And my results shifted a bit over the last 4 years.
Right. And that tells you you're growing.
Right.
And so that's exactly what I do. Last year, about this time, I started a coach training class, which I had several students in. It was a 12-week course. It was a great time. It was far exceeded my expectations. Obviously, we've gone over time, but I'm going to share the story. It far exceeded my expectations of how it was going to go. But I was prayerful about it. But one of the aspects of that was going through knowing yourself,
Right.
how to know others, in using these assessments, but learning how to use them properly, where it's
Right.
doesn't become we're judging certain types
Right.
that we like or don't like. Because
Right.
the truth is we need people who are different than us.
Every
in-
personality
yeah.
type has their pluses and minuses, but not everybody is like, one personality or the other. We all have different personalities, and the other thing too is that in one setting I might be one type, and in another setting I might be not the polar opposite, but be depending on the circumstances,
Right.
that other part of my personality trait comes out.
Right.
Like I can be a driver when I need to be a driver, but that's not my normal tendency.
Sure. Yeah,
Right?
and that's it. I can be anything. I can be real sweet and hug you, crying and everything, and I can tell you, listen, you need to move it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? My kids will tell you that. All right, well, we'll be back after this. We have to take a short break. Please stay tuned and support those who support us so that we can stay on air. All right, we'll be back right after this.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen, located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780.
Hi, I'm Lori Lynn Green, Advancement Strategist and owner of AlphaAdvancementStrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
Hi, I'm Bob Bola, Chief Instructor of Defensive Strategies and anchor of the Personal Safety segment, where we talk about personal protection, situational awareness, and home defense. Tune in every Thursday at 9 a.m. and refuse to be a victim. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Green.
Welcome back to In It Together, kicking off, actually in the midst of It's a Wonderful Life with Marc Major here, talking about challenging your people to be the best. You know, when I think about that word challenging, Mark, I'm thinking where most people, feel like that's kind of a conflict kind of word, but really it shouldn't be. If you're looking at it as a conflict, that's a negative. It's really to be an encouragement to draw out the best.
Absolutely. I have this past week spoken to somebody that was in a working situation where they actually said, the person directing us, helped me to grow so much, and I'm doing so much better in this area. And it's because they challenged them. They didn't just accept what they had.
Right.
One of my speaking mentor, Roddy Galbraith, he's funny. He works with us, and Paul Martinelli, who's the president of the John Maxwell team. So Roddy was putting together a presentation, and he had sent it to Paul to review, and he got a message back from Paul. He says, "Is this really your best work?" So he went back to it, and he started reworking it and rewriting it and so forth, and then he sent it back, and then he got a note back from Paul saying, "I think you can do better than this." And so he rewrote it and actually got his wife Susan involved. It's like, tell me, is this okay, and so forth. So so then he sent it back, and Paul's like, "Is this really, really, really the best you can do?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's absolutely. I've rewritten it so many times." And Paul says, "Okay, now I'll read it."
Right.
So that's an example of challenging. It's a funny story, but it really happened.
But when you
it's just not accepting mediocre. It's like, I know you can do better than this.
And the key is when you build a relationship, which starts from the first time you meet,
right?
You begin to build a relationship, and when you do that, you build trust. And I think that's where you kind of earn the right to speak into someone.
Right.
And when I think about leaders, we almost have to have the ability to discern the climate.
Right.
In order to know what to wear. And let me explain what I mean by that. I like analogies. So we discern the climate to know what to wear. If you know what the weather is outside, if you need a hat and gloves, or you need when you're dealing with people,
right,
you have to discern what's the climate between us. What is our relationship? And what could I say? And knowing, and like we said, knowing the personalities. Like there's some people, they like when you egg them on. Like I can say, "Hey, you. Get over here." And then other people are like, "Hey, would you please come on over here?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
you
different
have to
people.
know how to handle them.
Different people have different ways.
And here's why that's important. No matter how good of a relationship or how, well things are going, at some point or another in every working relationship, you're going to have a tough conversation sometimes.
And you can do it with such love
and knowing how to handle that, and we've kind of talked about this before when we talked about everyone communicates, few connect.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, and I can remember, hearing this years ago when I first started out in sales. A speaker I heard, a local guy from Worcester by the name of Richard Tosti, he talked about the sandwich technique. That's the first time I ever heard about the sandwich technique.
Is that like my...
Yeah, it's like, "Lori, you're doing a great job here. We really appreciate it. But, in this particular situation, we just need to tweak it a little bit. You understand, right? And by the way, thank you so much for helping with such and such last week." So you're starting out on a good note. You're explaining what needs to be done, but you're leaving people feeling okay about themselves. You don't ever let them leave your office feeling that they're beat up, because you know what's going to happen. They're going to walk away, and for the rest of the day, they're going to be ticked off and upset. And no matter what, you have to let people know that they're valued, and you're criticizing the performance, not the person.
And it goes down to how you present the need.
Right.
I always say it's the 2-1-1 technique, where it's like you just did a great demonstration of, so glad you're on board. You've been doing such a great job. I really appreciated you showing up for this thing. The only thing I would want to know is if you could take this area over here, and we want to make sure we close out this end every time, though.
Exactly.
It's been a little sporadic, but I know that you're going to do a good job going forward. And so this is how that's kind of a sandwich, but I do the 2-1-1, where it's two positives, what needs to be corrected in a gracious manner, and then the encouragement of, I know I can count on you for that.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you've set up a good relationship and let people know you have their back in the first place, that allows you to do that, and everybody feels I don't know if the right word is everybody feels safe in that situation, that, things are going to be okay. Because that really is. A lot of times people need to, feel safe and not feel like, oh, my God, every time I make a mistake, I might get fired here. It's like, no.
Well, honestly, if you have anybody that feels like they need to feel safe, safe spaces and stuff like that, that would be an area that you would want to help them to grow in. And you don't want anybody, you never want to be walking on eggshells when you need things to be done. You need to encourage them, help them to recognize that that's not normal, but that they can learn to be confident and that you're willing to help them do that.
Yeah, and that's my point in feeling safe. Knowing, in other words, that your people know that you have their back. And that it's all good. And
so important. Again, working with somebody here who was dealing with something like that, where they kept feeling like, you don't want them worrying about whether their job's at risk or whether their days are numbered. They're always worried about that. You have to set them at ease, and I've had to do that. I actually recently had to talk to someone and say, look, I'm willing to work with you. I'm willing to help.
Right.
I don't want you to be afraid of that. I want you to think about. When something comes up, if it's not aligned, we'll just talk about it. It's not going to be a deal breaker.
Right. It's not do or die. And so the real important thing to that, the bottom line is you need to be able to discuss those things, because if you put off those conversations and things keep spiraling in a negative manner, that's just destructive for everybody. It's not helping anybody. It's not helping you as the leader. It's not helping your organization. And most of all, it's really not helping the person that you're trying to correct, because maybe until you bring it to their attention, they probably don't even know or understand that they're not doing things right.
And something else you said is, we do have to be able to have the tough conversations. But, just because we initially look at it as tough, we don't want to go talk to them with that thought. We want to talk to them once we've worked out how to make it easier, when we have the answer. Not to come in and point out what's wrong, but always when you go in to make a correction, you bring options.
Well, exactly. And even before you have the conversation, sometimes you have to have a conversation. As the leader, you have to have a conversation with yourself. Think about this. If I think, Lori messed that up, well, wait a minute. Did Lori mess it up, or is it because I didn't explain it correctly, or, they were doing it properly in the first place, but things have slipped a little bit? Where exactly are we? And, you don't want to look for who's at fault. Like you wanted to play the blame game. It's like, okay, maybe we're both complicit in this a little bit, and we're having this conversation just because, again, like we said earlier in the show, it's not all about me. It's not all about you. It's what's best for the both of us and for our company or organization or whatever it happens to be.
The bottom line is, it's not about did they mess up or did I not explain it properly. I mean, that's part of it, but it comes down to, am I taking responsibility for my part of this? Right. And unfortunately, Mark, we are out of time, so I want to give you a moment to share some contact information.
Sure. People can reach me at 603-674-6818. That's my cell phone, or marc.major@comcast.net.
All right. Well, that concludes today's It's a Wonderful Life. You want to join us tomorrow, 9 a.m. for Personal Safety Master Trainer of Defensive Strategies, Bob Bolai, will be here to help us stay safe and refuse to be a victim. All right. Well, we're going to have a blessed day, and that's my hope for you. And remember,
we're in it together.